There is a woman in Islamic history whose name has been dragged through lies and more distortions than almost anyone else. People feel confident to speak about her, to use her name as a weapon. Today, we're going to set the record straight. Not with anger, not with defensiveness, but with history, with facts, with her story.
Aisha was born in Mecca, into one of the most remarkable households in the early Muslim community. Her father was Abu Bakr As-Siddiq, the closest friend of the Prophet, the first adult man to accept Islam, a man of such deep faith and character that the Prophet would later say he owed Abu Bakr more than he could ever repay. Growing up in that home, Aisha was surrounded by faith before she could fully understand what faith was. She heard the Quran recited in her house. When the Quran was still being revealed, she saw the Prophet visit her father and watched the two most important men in early Islam speak, laugh, and plan together. From the very beginning, she was immersed in something extraordinary. Now, before we go any further, we need to address the thing that almost everyone brings up when Aisha's name is mentioned. Her age at marriage. This is the topic that has been weaponized more than any other in Islamic discourse, and it deserves a direct, honest, informed response. So let's talk about it. First, the historical context. The 7th century Arabian world was not the 21st century. Marriage ages across all ancient civilizations. Roman, Byzantine, Persian, Jewish, Christian were dramatically different from today. This was universal. Not unique to Islam, not unique to Arabs. History books across every culture confirm this. Second, the scholarly discussion on her age. The most widely cited narration places Aisha at 6 years old at the time of the marriage contract, and 9 at the time the marriage was consummated. These narrations come primarily from Aisha herself. However, a growing body of Islamic scholars, both classical and contemporary, have raised serious questions about these numbers. Scholars like Al-Albani and researchers examining the chain of narration and cross-referencing with other historical events, including Aisha's participation in the Battle of Badr, suggest she may have been significantly older. Some place her between 13 and 19 at the time of consummation. The honest position is this: there is genuine scholarly debate on her exact age. What is not debated is who she became. Third, and most importantly, look at what the Prophet himself thought of her. He was asked, "Who is the most beloved person to you?" He said, "Aisha." He spent his final days in her room. He passed away with his head in her lap. He called her Humaira, the little rosy one, a name of deep affection. This was not a transaction. This was not exploitation. This was a marriage that the Prophet, the most morally elevated human being in history, entered into and honored with complete love and respect. And Aisha, she loved him completely in return. It is sure she would give anything to have one more moment with him. Their marriage, whatever one thinks of its beginning, produced one of the most remarkable partnerships in human history. Aisha was curious, sharp, and fearless. She asked the Prophet questions that no one else dared to ask. She challenged, she debated, she pushed back, and he loved her for it. She memorized everything, every word he said, every action he took, every prayer, every habit, every detail of how he lived his private life. And because of that, she became the single greatest source of knowledge about the Prophet that the Muslim world has ever had. Over 2,000 hadith are narrated directly from Aisha. 2,000. The companions, grown men, scholars, warriors, would come to her with questions, and she would answer them with a precision and a depth that left them speechless. But the greatest test of Aisha's life was not a battle. It was not poverty or hardship. It was a lie. In the 5th year of Hijrah, on the return from a military expedition, Aisha was accidentally left behind when the caravan departed without realizing she was missing. A companion named Safwan ibn al-Mu'addal found her and escorted her back to Medina. And the hypocrites of Medina, led by Abdullah ibn Ubay, saw their opportunity. They spread a rumor, a vile, shameless, calculated lie, that Aisha, the wife of the Prophet, the daughter of Abu Bakr, had been unfaithful. The lie spread through Medina like fire. For a month, the lie hung in the air. The Prophet was in anguish. Abu Bakr was devastated. Even some companions were uncertain. And Aisha? She wept until she could no longer weep. She said, "By Allah, I knew that I was innocent, and that Allah would reveal my innocence. But I never imagined that Allah would reveal Quran that would be recited until the day of judgment, concerning a matter involving me. I considered myself too insignificant for that." And then revelation came. Allah himself descended words that cleared her name, words that are recited in mosques around the world. To this very day, Zula An-Nur, chapter 24, Allah called her pure. Allah called those who spread the lie sinners. Allah told the believers, when you hear such accusations, your first response should be to think the best of your brothers and sisters. The woman they tried to destroy, Allah defended in his own book, forever.
Subhanallah, they spread a lie about her, and Allah answered it in words that will be recited last day. That is who Aisha bint Abi Bakr was, not who she was. And her story isn't finished yet.
After the Prophet passed away, Aisha was still a young woman. She had decades of life ahead of her, and she used every single one of them to preserve and teach the religion of Islam. She became the primary teacher of the Prophet's private life, how he prayed at night, how he treated his family, how he ate, how he slept, how he cried, how he laughed, things that no one else could know, because no one else was there. The great companion Abu Musa al-Ash'ari said, "Whenever we companions of the Prophet had difficulty with a matter, we would ask Aisha about it, and we always found that she had knowledge of it. Always, every single time." The scholar Urwa ibn Abi, her own nephew, said he had never seen anyone more knowledgeable than Aisha in medicine, poetry, or Islamic jurisprudence. Medicine, poetry, Islamic law, all three, in the 7th century, a woman. Aisha bint Abi Bakr lived until approximately 65 years of age. She spent nearly half a century after the Prophet's death, teaching, narrating, correcting, and preserving. She corrected companions who made mistakes. She challenged rulings she disagreed with, respectfully but firmly. She sent away students who came to her with weak questions and told them to go and learn more before returning. She fasted frequently. She gave in charity until she had nothing left, sometimes giving away entire sums, and having no food in the house by evening. When someone remarked on her generosity, she simply said, "Do not remind me of the world and I parted ways long ago." She passed away in the year 58 Hijra. She asked to be buried at night, in simplicity, beside the other wives of the Prophet. Inal Baki, Chemitari Medina, the companion Abu Huraira, led her funeral prayer, and Medina wept. So let's come back to the beginning. They say Islam oppresses women. They use Aisha's name as their evidence. But look at what Aisha's life actually produced. A woman who debated scholars and won. A woman who corrected the greatest companions of the Prophet. A woman whose knowledge shaped an entire quarter of Islamic jurisprudence. A woman who Allah himself defended in his own book for all of time. If Islam oppresses women, then how do you explain Aisha? You cannot, because the lie falls apart the moment you actually look at her life. She was not a victim. She was not oppressed. She was not silent. She was the mother of the believers, and she was extraordinary.
Aisha bint Abi Bakr lived a life that no lie can ever fully erase, because her legacy is written in the Quran, in the scholars she taught, in the rulings that govern Muslim lives to this very day. The next time someone uses her name to attack Islam, tell them her story, the real one, and every woman who seeks the truth. That's all from me today. Share this if it helped. Wassalam.